Welcome to Faithful Hustle, where faith fuels the vision, purpose drives the work, and God leads the way. I'm Peyton, your host, and I'm here to help you dream bigger, lead stronger, and build a life that reflects His calling. So let's get started. Episode 40, Stay in Your Lane. I giggle when I hear that now, but peace comes when you stop trying to run someone else's race. It really does. I used to compare my journey in faith and especially in business to others, but comparison pulls you out of alignment with what God actually asked you to do. I used to compare myself to my mentor, Jessie Lee Ward. And if you had the pleasure of knowing her, you know she was an absolute powerhouse, a force. And I used to look at her and be like, God, if I just had it all together, or if I just blah, 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 fill in the blank. There's a million things I could say to, I mean, it was everything. Like, if I just had hair like that, oh, I wish I had a boyfriend like that. Like, all the things. I used to compare myself to her all the time. But another thing I did learn from her is setting boundaries because, yeah, she had that boyfriend for a solid, year before she actually introduced him on social media. So, they already had a strong bond before we ever saw that. And what we just were allowed to see, that little snippet, was just that, a little snippet. It was not the whole past or the whole present. It was just a little snippet. And your calling doesn't compete with anyone, it coexists with everyone. So let me ask you, where are you comparing your journey? And what assignment has God given you specifically? I say this a lot. Having a podcast was not ever my plan, but I heard God's voice say to start podcasting, and so I did. And I'm not the best, but I'm getting better every single time I do one. So, are you distracted by someone else's lane? Because even with this, it would be easy for me to look at other podcasters and compare my journey. But I'm not going to. As a matter of fact, I don't look at any of the vanity metrics there. I just record, upload, and share with my friends. So, y'all know how I like to give you some tactical takeaways that you can do this week. So, spend some time with God and ask Him, straight up ask Him, what is your personal assignment? And then I would like for you to listen and write it down. I also want you to mute comparison triggers. And what I mean by that is, if you see people on social media that you compare yourself to, you can press the three buttons in the top right hand corner and mute that person for 30 days so that you have some peace for 30 days and you've muted those comparison triggers. And then declare this or write it on a post it note if you have to. But I stay in my lane with peace and focus. And remember, obedience requires focus, not comparison. I didn't hear the voice of God when I was busy comparing myself to others. I only started hearing it when I started focusing on it and asking those questions. And I've asked God some really crazy questions before, like, what's your favorite flower? What color of that flower? Blah, blah, blah. Like, he's funny. So he's not a God of confusion or any of that. If you ask him what your personal assignment is, he will tell you. And I want to leave you with that. Some people might not like what they hear, but you know what? That is your personal assignment. And if you think about the story of Joshua, you know, he ended up very great. But there were a lot of devastating trials that happened early on in his life, but they all set him up for where he was when he was able to finally blossom and bloom into the beautiful flower he was always meant to be. So it is not punishment, it is preparation. And some of us may not like what our personal assignments are, but if we remain obedient, we're going to be elevated. And remember, God can't use whole people. He breaks us first and makes sure that we are dependent upon him before he lets us out of the cage. He if he loves every single one of us. I promise you, he loves you too. He made all of us. It doesn't even matter if you're a believer of God or not. He loves you and he made you. He knows exactly your future. But it is up to us whether or not we know him. So make sure that you declare this week's thing of I stay in my lane with peace and focus, because focus is going to help you hear that voice, and peace, he always says for us to be at peace. He really does. So I love y'all. And before you go, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast so you never miss an episode. And if today's message encouraged you, I would be so grateful if you would leave a 5-star review and share it with a friend. We can grow together in faith one day at a time.